Hey, what up, everybody? Steviebreech coming to you. In this video, just going to be discussing the whole anonymous Raw GM. You can think of back to about a year ago when it first came in after Bret Hart was taken out of the GM position. They had this podium set up with the computer, and it sort of took like wildfire because everybody wanted to know who the anonymous Raw GM is, and it seems that it has gone the way of GTV back in the day. GTV back in the Attitude Era was something they set up. A lot of the stuff I've read is pointing that they were trying to bring Tom Green into wrestling for like a one-spot thing, and it was mainly just a camera that caught superstars doing stupid things throughout the arena the day of the event, whether going to the bathroom or just little shenanigans going on between guys in the locker room. There was real no meaning to it at all. I think it finally got panned off as a gold dust skit, but we never got the true meaning of it, and it seems that's the way with Triple H coming and taking over as the main guy of the WWE. He's sort of the chairman now. He's been making most of the decisions the last few days, and we haven't been hearing Michael Cole get up on there. It was a fun ride while it lasted. I think a lot of people were right. Everybody was trying to guess who it was going to be, and there were even some smart people who said that they didn't really have anybody and they weren't really ever going to show us anybody. I was just hoping we weren't going to get the Vince McMahon higher power sort of deal because some people were pointing the finger at it being Vince McMahon, but if you go back to when Vince McMahon tried to join the Nexus back in the early days of the Nexus, he was actually chiming in and he was talking to Vince through the anonymous Raw GM, which really wouldn't have made any sense unless you brought into somebody was actually sending the emails for him. But sometimes when you bring common sense into wrestling, it just sort of breaks everything down. The highest point for me is when the Raw GM jumped in on WrestleMania and tried to talk to The Rock, and The Rock shut it down. The Rock went over and he actually read it. And when I'm watching shows when I'm there, I normally watch the action. I try not to watch the Titantron that much. Because that's what you paid to see. You didn't pay to watch TV, or you'd sit at home. But the Rock was reading the email, and he got to the part of the email when he said the word "I," and he reacted real strong to the word "I." And from where I was sitting, I thought that he was reading it like he made a mistake. I thought it was actually going to be revealed that the Rock was the Raw GM the whole time. He was one guy that they thought a lot of people thought that that's how they were going to bring him back. A lot of people thought that he was going to come back during the summer and do something. I know Luke Cage was a big factor in The Rock coming back, and ended up not being him, but he had a big return when he came back on his own. I think that would have been the right way to do it. I don't really think that you want to believe that The Rock was sitting at home and sending emails back and forth to a live TV show and having Michael Cole. That's just not the way that I would want it to bring The Rock back. I think the way they brought him back as the special celebrity guest host of WrestleMania and gave him that big entrance on Monday Night Raw, that was a good way to do it, and not getting him tangled up in some messy storyline of it being all these other guys. We've seen the Raw GM turn face and turn heel almost 700 times. They used it back and forth, and steal catchphrases from Bret Hart, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Roddy Piper. It's just one of those things when you watch wrestling, we'd always don't get an end to every storyline. It would be one thing that we probably look back on in years and just say, what could have been. Like sort of like WCW had the white Hummer that ran down, I believe, Hulk Hogan out in the parking lot, and we never got a response to it. The only thing you can sort of think of is when WCW did the relaunch. Eric Bischoff pulled up to that show in a white Hummer, and a lot of people sort of like use that as Bischoff and Russo sort of saying "F you" to the wrestling fans out there on the internet, trying to look into everything, and that's probably what the anonymous Raw GM is going to be. I mean, it would have been cool to have a guy come back from the past, but it couldn't have been Bret Hart, because why would Bret Hart get be taken out by the Nexus only for somebody to like. Well, Vince McMahon would have to know who it is, because somebody appointed him the Raw GM. It's not like he just, walked out there, put his computer down, and said, "I'm in charge." So somebody has to know it, storyline-wise. So why would Vince, put Bret Hart there after Bret Hart just got taken out by the Nexus? It just doesn't make sense. Stone Cold Steve Austin or anybody else. So basically, just leave your comments down below if you thought it was somebody else, or if you're sad to see this go. I mean, they're still setting up the podium, so I mean there is a chance for it to be in the future, but it just doesn't really make sense if Triple H is going to be there pretty much every Monday from now on, it seems like, and be the head honcho of the WWE. Why do we need a GM of Raw? Because I mean, Triple H is probably going to need to get out there and stick his nose in it and everything, because that's what Triple H does.